First of all, Ramadan Kareem to all of my fellow Muslims that celebrate Ramadan. Do you celebrate Ramadan? Practice Ramadan? Observe Ramadan? Ramadan Kareem. I hope this Ramadan is full of blessings and heals all of the pain in your heart. Honestly, Ramadan always comes when we best need it, so inshallah this Ramadan is the best one yet. A couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine recommended this podcast to me. It's called the Joe Rogan Experience, and he actually recommended this specific episode. I think it was episode 1284, if I'm not wrong, with Graham Hancock. And I think this episode is one of Joe Rogan's most popular ones, I believe. Anyways, I watched it and I fell down the deepest, darkest rabbit hole known to man. The host, Joe Rogan, he interviews a lot of important people from many different industries and shares insights and perspectives on a plethora of different topics. After watching the one that my friend recommended to me, guys, anything to do with Graham Hancock and Joe Rogan, I was watching. Specifically though, Graham Hancock. Graham Hancock is a journalist, but he's labeled by science to be a pseudoscientist. And pseudoscience, according to Google, is a collection of beliefs or practices mistakenly regarded as being based on scientific method. I guess pseudoscience is a fancy term for a conspiracy theorist. Theorist, is that a word? I don't know. At the beginning of this year, one of my goals was to expand my knowledge across many different areas. One of them being ancient civilizations and, the history of man. I've always been interested in archaeology and geology and all things that fall under that umbrella, but I never knew where to find that information. And after coming across Graham Hancock, that's the first step. I also subscribe to a science magazine, so now every day before bed I sit and I read a bazillion articles on the new innovations and the new technologies, and people are literally finding solutions to things that I never even knew we needed solutions for, which is insane. Also, I took an IQ test. All I'm gonna say, we're good up here. There's so many things in this world that I don't know, and that used to overwhelm me. But now it's oh my god, there's so much that I don't know, and I want to know. The reason why Graham Hancock has become such a big name in science is because he wasn't afraid to challenge some of the top scientists or some of the top archaeologists. And I thought about it and I realized it's because he's curious. The reason why he's so good at what he does is because he's curious. He's not afraid to ask questions. He's not afraid to go to the places and explore and talk to the locals, talk to the Aboriginal people, understand their views on things. He's not afraid to be curious. And that leads me to the very point of this video. Be curious. Quite a bit ago, I had this problem where if I was in an intellectually stimulating conversation with someone, I don't know, we were talking about religion or whatever, they would be telling me information or, telling me what they know. And I would just sit and listen. And I would have all of these questions bubbling up in my brain, but I just wouldn't ask them. Why? Because I was not embarrassed, but assuming all of the time. Some of them were stupid questions or questions about small aspects. And it was oh, I don't want them to think that I don't already know this. Or that's a dumb question, I shouldn't ask it. I should just assume. Why are we assuming? What I didn't realize back then is that by doing that, I was preventing myself from so much information that I could have gotten. The kind of people that I hate, when you ask something and they're you don't know this? As humans, we gain knowledge through interaction, whether it's interaction with AI, interaction with Google, interaction with other people, interaction with yourself. You learn by interacting. And what is interaction if not curiosity? People that have no willingness to learn are you're lazy. Another thing that I have started exploring is old cinema. So movies from the late 50s, early 60s. Who knew movies in black and white were so good? There's this one movie that I watched recently called 12 Angry Men, and it was released in 1957. And it's basically, literally the whole movie, it's 90 minutes. The whole movie is a body of jurors who are arguing on whether this 18-year-old kid is guilty or not guilty for first-degree murder. That's it. That's the whole movie. But it's so good. I feel like movies nowadays are so unnecessarily confusing with their elaborate plot lines and the amount of CGI. Look, that's sometimes, good. And some movies executed it in a proper way. But like recently, for the past few years, they've been really bad. Like, why does Snow White look like that? Another one of my goals this year was to read more, and I've definitely stuck to that. I feel like reading is so nutritious for the soul and for the mind and for the imagination, the creativity that lies behind every word, every syllable, and then the critical thinking, it's so important for you and it's so good for you. It's like an escape from reality. Oh. Okay, if you don't like to read, listen to an audiobook, listen to a podcast, feed your brain. Like it's so important. I value it in another person when they take learning as not something you just do in school, but something something recreational. Once I started to read more and kind of jump into areas of science more and start exploring things that actually have meaning and are actually like stimulating me in a good way, I scroll on TikTok for 5 minutes and then I leave the app because it's like, this is trash. Like, this is literal trash. Like, what am I gaining from this? It's funny sometimes, yes. It's entertaining and you pass the time, yes. But what am I actually gaining from this? Nothing. Okay, maybe like a few recipes here and there, or maybe some life hack that I'll never remember to do. But other than that, what am I actually gaining? And okay, on TikTok, sometimes you come across things on your For You page where it's like some sort of like information that's actually useful, but then you just keep scrolling, so you get so overstimulated, your brain physically doesn't have the capacity to hold or retain any of the useful information. I don't know, I feel like this video was very like unstructured and it was very much a rant, but I really wanted to speak about these things. It was really important to me to get this off my chest. Ramadan Kareem again, and have a good night, or day, or good morning, or good night. Bye!